Hello, welcome to the lesson. So you've chosen to come here and learn how to tune guitar by ear, which is a very sensible thing to do because electric tuners are great, they're very useful, they're very simple to use, and that's obviously why I recommended it in the first lesson in the free course, because for beginners it's much simpler just to use an electric tuner, but ultimately it's a great advantage to be able to tune guitar by ear without needing the gadget to be able to do it. Okay, and there's also other benefits. It will accustom you to being able to distinguish different pitches just by using your ears, and it will develop your musical ability by doing that. So there's other advantages as well. But let's stop talking about it and let me just explain how to do this. So the major principle that I need to tell you about is as follows. If you hold down the second string at fret 5 and give it a pluck, if the guitar is in tune, it should sound the same as the first string open. And you can hear that they're both the same note. Because my guitar is in tune, they're exactly the same pitch. If those strings were out of tune, you'd hear a difference, and I'll demonstrate that in a minute. So the next you need to know is the third string at fret 4 is the same as the second string open. So if I pluck the third string at fret 4 and then the second string open, you can hear they're the same note because my guitar is in tune. The fourth string at fret 5 should be the same as the third string open. There you go. And the fifth string at fret 5 should be the same as the fourth string open. Good, I'm glad I'm in tune so far. And the sixth string at fret 5 should be the same as the fifth string open. So that is basically how we do it. Right, so I'm going to put those strings out of tune now, and I'm going to demonstrate putting it back in tune. So here goes. Right, okay, so we're safely out of tune. Now you'll notice that I left the first string in tune because I want to just keep that as a correct pitch, as a reference point, and we can tune all the other strings back to it, and then we know we're in concert pitch with the rest of the world. I hope that makes sense, don't worry if not. So here goes. The first thing we're going to do is check the second string against the first string. So we're going to play the second string at fret 5 and then the first string open. If they're in tune, they should be the same. And of course they're not in tune because I've altered it. Now you should be able to distinguish that the second string is higher than the first string. You should be able to hear da 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 da. Now, it may take a bit of practice and a while for you to accustom your hearing to be able to distinguish that difference. Most people struggle with it at first. Some people have got a more natural tendency to be able to hear that difference. So what that means is the second string is too high in comparison to the first. So we're going to turn the tuning peg, and I always pluck the string whilst I tune up or down so I can hear it change, like this. So you'll notice that I tuned that note down, and what we're going to do now is double check it. So we're going to play it at fret 5 and then the first string open. Now they're nearly the same now, but I can still hear that the second string is fractionally too high still. And if you listen closely, it's only a tiny difference, but I can hear it. So what I'm going to do is tune the second string down a little bit more. Remember, I always pluck when I turn the peg because I want to hear the pitch move. So we're going to double check it now. I've changed it. It's nearly right, but I can hear it just needs to come down a fraction more. And now I'm going to double check it again. Okay, now for me that's close enough. Those two notes sound almost perfectly the same. Okay, hope that makes sense. So now what we do is move on to the third string at fret 4, and we're going to now double check, we're going to check that against the second string open. So the third string is lower than the second string. Only a tiny bit, but if you listen closely, you can hear that that third string is about, you know, here, and the second string is a bit higher. Right, so what we got to do is obvious. We got to turn the third string up a little bit. So I'm going to adjust it. And remember, I always pluck when I turn the peg. Right, now we're going to check that and we're going to see if that's right. It's almost perfect, but that third string is still a little bit too low. Okay, so we're going to turn that third string up a bit. And now we're going to check that. Third string, second string. I'm still going to turn it up a fraction more because I can tell there's a tiny little difference there. Okay, let's check that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think they're both the same, so so I know they're in tune. So now we're going to check the fourth string at fret 5 against the third string open. Fourth string, third string. I can hear that the fourth string is fractionally too low. Here goes, fourth string, third string. Can you hear that difference? Listen carefully. Okay, so turn the fourth string up a little bit on the tuning peg like this. And now let's double check that and see if that's right. Almost perfect, but I'm going to turn it a fraction more because I can still detect a difference. Okay, let's try that. Okay, I'm happy with that. I think they're pretty much the same. Now we're going to check the fifth string at fret 5 against the fourth string open. Here's the fifth string, here's the fourth string. I hope you can notice that that fifth string is higher than the fourth string. Listen carefully. Da, 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 da. Fifth string, fourth string. Okay, it might take you a while to get used to this, but you know, it's worth it. Because being in tune is ultimately important when you're playing guitar. Because if you're not in tune, everything you play is going to sound awful. Okay? So it's clear to me that the fifth string needs to come down a little bit. So I'm going to pluck it and turn it. Now let's check that. I can still hear that it's fractionally too high. So down it comes a bit more. Let's check that. It's still a fraction high. So I turned it down a bit more. That's close enough. That's close enough. I'm pretty much happy that those are in tune now. And now the last string is, of course, the sixth string at fret 5 against the fifth string at open. Now I can hear that that sixth string is a lot lower. So I'm going to turn the peg up a lot. Let's check that. I almost got it right in one go. And I can still detect that that sixth string is fractionally higher than the fifth string. So I'm going to turn it back a little bit. And I'm just going to check that. Okay, that's close enough. I think you get the idea. So that's the principle. That's how all the strings relate to each other. Okay, so what we're going to do now is pluck the sixth string open and the fourth string open together. And the reason for that is because they're both E notes. The sixth string's a low E, the first string's a high E. And when you pluck them together, they should sound the same. Which they do, pretty much. So I know that I've done a good job on tuning the guitar. So if I strum an E chord, and you already know an E, it should sound okay. There you go, it sounds fine. So I know I've tuned the guitar well. If it doesn't sound fine, or if the sixth string and the first string don't sound the same, then you know you've been a little bit inaccurate on the way. And what that means is you just need to go back through the strings and tune them again and just make, you know, finer adjustments until you finally get it sounding as it should. And and then you're good to go. You can go and play your songs then. So that's the principle. I hope you understand that. Now, what I'm going to do is finish by giving you some extra ways of doing this. I'm not going to explain it in quite so much detail, but what you'll see it come up on the tab at the bottom of the screen. And what I'm going to tell you is to tune like this. This is how I tune the guitar. The second string at fret 5 against the first string open. The third string at fret 4 against the second string open. If there's any differences, you adjust them as you go. The third string open against the first string at fret 3. And what we're doing there is checking the third string against the first string, okay? And again, if there's anything that needs adjusting, you adjust it until they sound the same. Then you do the fourth string at fret 5, and then the third string open. And then you play the fourth string open, and you check it against the second string at fret 3. Like that. They're an octave apart, you know, low note, high note. And then you do the fifth string at fret 5 against the fourth string open. And then you check the fifth string open against the third string at fret 2. And then you check the sixth string at fret 5 against the fifth string open. And then you check, lastly, the sixth string open against the fourth string at fret 2. So what all those notes are just a slightly more thorough way of doing the same thing as what I showed you, okay? So practice the whole first section first until you're used to doing that, and then apply the same idea to those notes that I just showed you, and that'll give you an even more accurate tuning, okay? So there you go. It is going to take some practice. Your pitch correction probably isn't going to be accurate at first. You'll need to get used to it. You'll need to get used to distinguishing the difference between those tiny differences in pitch between strings, but that's it. That's what you got to do. There's no easy way around it, really. You just got to practice it. Okay, I hope that's been useful. Have a look at the PDF document that you downloaded and print it out, and you'll see that I've put the tab and I've given a description of everything you need to do, so you should be fine. So between doing that and having an electric guitar tuner, you know, between those two things, you're going to be perfectly in tune all the time. There you go. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to seeing you in one of the other lessons and we can learn some songs together. So there you go. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.